Hey y'all, welcome back to the party. It is me, your girl, BrittReacts, and today we are reacting to Oliver Anthony on the unexpected success and backlash from the rich men north of Richmond. This is on the Joe Rogan podcast. I am so interested to see what this interview was about. Let's check it out.
And you're going to have to deal with that soon. Because I guarantee you, there's going to be some people that are making some CGI.
Oh, there are.
AI.
There already
they out
are.
there?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
What is that? I'm sure there are.
Yeah, I haven't kept up with a lot just because, I'm doing anything social media related right now, or any internet presence I have right now is coming from me off the phone, just like before everything blew up. So I haven't invested the time to look at everything circulating, but people like friends and family have sent me stuff, and some of it's pretty funny, but they've got all these different AI remixes of the song with different voices and overlaid different faces.
First things first, Wrangler, get this man an endorsement right now. He needs a brand deal. He has always got on a Wrangler t-shirt. And actually, I don't know if I've ever seen these Wrangler t-shirts with their logo on the pocket. I think it's a pocket. Get this man a deal, Wrangler. What are you doing? This is like your customer right here. Come on. His butt probably looks amazing in the jeans too. Not to objectify him, I'm just saying, you got a real life model here. He's talented. Y'all could do a collab. What's the problem, Wrangler? Secondly, his speaking voice is so normal compared to his very unique singing voice. Am I the only one that feels that way? I don't know if I would watch his interview and have a clue he was a singer if I hadn't have seen the videos previous to this. His singing voice, he's got that scratchy, raspy, smoky, airy kind of singing voice. And then he speaks and it's just wait, what? I talked about this CGI AI thing a couple videos back, honestly. It's creeping me out. It really is starting to stress me out. And, I hope all these artists and entertainers just figure out how to navigate it and are paid their due diligence, because no matter what, you're using their likeness, and chances are it's going to be successful because of their likeness, not because of any AI generated technology talent. So that's interesting that's brought up. Also, they said so much in the first 30 seconds just talking about him managing his own social media. That happens so quickly. When fame happens to you so quickly, people can't scramble and get a team. These are people you have to trust, and money's involved. You can't just hire people. So this just, for me, is on brand with who I envision him to be, as this very humble, down home guy that his life has not changed in any way, shape, or form, other than the fact that millions of people know who he is now. But he's still running his own Instagram. I could relate to this a little bit. Instagram is probably my most intimidating platform because it blew my I don't have as many followers on Instagram as I do subscribers here on YouTube, but I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of messages sitting in my inbox because I don't have the time. I simply don't have the time in my 24 hours as a mom, a wife, a content creator, a pregnant woman who needs sleep to answer all of the DMs. I can't even imagine how many DMs he has, because you know what I mean? I feel him on that though. It's just people are sending me things. It's I can't open all of this, and I certainly can't respond to it. So if you sent me a DM on Instagram and I have not responded, I've responded to no one. So I think I tried in the beginning when it wasn't but I quickly realized I do not have the bandwidth for this. So I feel him on this. All right, let's keep going now that I've rambled about 18 different subjects.
And it's funny to see where it's going to go,
That is funny. Yeah, you're going to have to deal with that. My daughter sent me some advertisement. She goes, "Did you do this advertisement?" I'm like, "Nope."
Yeah.
Nope, that's not really my voice.
Yeah,
really
the day after things blew up, one of the towing companies had an ad on Facebook that had it wasn't really me, but it was a red beard and the side profile of sunglasses looking out the window. I'm like, okay,
how dare you?
I guess I've made it anyway. That's when I realized people are already ripping things off. And what's crazy is every shirt that I've worn anywhere in public, there's a organization that I'm not like officially related to or in any way have done anything with, but it's a friend of a friend in the neighborhood. It's called Nets with Vets, and they take out veterans with PTSD and let them go deep sea fishing. And so he asked me last minute just to wear his shirt at one of the concerts. And do you know now there's like 1,500 listings online for counterfeit Nets with Vets shirts?
That's
and so the
crazy.
organization reached out like, hey, are you like making shirts, ripping us off? And it's like, it's not me. So it's like, it's a weird.
That is so crazy. And you know, it takes probably way more energy and money to go after these people and like sue them than it does to just let them like use your likeness in a situation like the tow truck company. But like Joe Rogan saying that like there's an AI ad out, like how do you fight that? It's like the bots in the comments. Like how do you fight them? How do you fight this machine?
Thing. But I've already experienced a lot of that stuff. Not so much on the AI side, but just, I don't know, the internet's just such a rowdy place,
Weird
you know?
place.
Oh, it's so rowdy. The world's a rowdy place. You
It
know?
is, and maybe people bring their best and their worst on the internet. Like I've always tried to stay off social media as much as possible, but I've learned very quickly that like Twitter and Facebook and stuff like you see comments and feedback from people, both overwhelmingly positive that maybe you wouldn't get in a personal conversation, but also like overwhelmingly negative too, you know?
Yeah.
People just use that as a vent that they just take whatever seething hatred they have inside of them. They're like, oh, I'm getting that guy with it, you know?
If you had a song just about love that resonated like that, it would be almost impossible to hate you. But you have a song where you're talking about how people are fed up with shit, and it obviously resonated.
I think even if you have a song about love, someone hates you. There's so much trauma dumping on the internet and people being super triggered by other people's lives and experiences. It's like, I saw something last night. A mother, she was pregnant, and I guess I'm assuming she had only girls because the reel or whatever it was, she was like covering her face and dancing, and she was saying, ignoring all the comments telling me that I better finally have a boy and just praying for a healthy baby. And there were so many other moms firing up in her comments saying, how dare you pray for a healthy baby, as if having an ably different baby is a bad thing. And it's like, she can't pray for the health of her child without offending you? She did not say anything about differently abled children or mothers that have differently able children. She just was praying for the health of her child. Like, people, the internet is not the place. I'm not someone who's ever I don't comment on celebrities' photos. Like a celebrity I could stand for. I'll just never, like, I'm not wishing you a happy birthday if I don't know you, like stuff like that. That's my preference. I don't really understand how people really feel the right or the need to just make these like wild comments and accusations at people they don't even know based off of a 30-second clip. But, you know, to each his own. Again, multiplying that by like this man's instant fame, I can't even imagine, like Joe said. Because if he made a song about love and harmony, people would still find something to hate about it. But because he didn't, it blows my mind that there's backlash on this, because I feel like the song was for everyone except for like millionaires, maybe. Like, I just feel like we've all had, or maybe even millionaires, everyone's had a point in their life where I'm sure they've been fed up with what the cards life have dealt them. But, you know, I don't know. What do y'all think?
I mean, I've seen songs go viral, but that's pretty bananas, son. Your shit went to the moon right away. And, God, I'm not sure who sent it to me. I'll have to find out who sent it to me. Because it's one of those things where, like, once one person sent it to me, then it was like dozens of people were sending it to me.
It's funny because originally that song wasn't really even in my top 5. Like, it's not normally the type of song. I've written songs with similar messages, but as far as that sort of, like, I guess anthem format is what people are calling it. It's like an anthem. Like, that's not something I would normally write, but
it's an unlikely anthem.
Right.
You know, insane times.
Right.
It would be an unlikely anthem.
Yeah, I had no idea that song would react
times.
the way it did. At least in my case, I think the one thing that's helped me too is that So my singing isn't the best, but I've never had any like vocal lessons or anything. So the way
his singing is phenomenal. What a humble man. I feel like it is a raw vocal. I do think his vocal is very raw, but I think that adds to the charm and effect of it. I don't know. What do y'all think?
So my singing isn't the best, but I've never had any like vocal lessons or anything. So the way I sing is just the way I sing. And so like I think even the same way with her and other people, it's like it's maybe rough around the edges. It could be a little pitchy, or it's, you know, you're not using the right part of your face when you project and whatever. And so like on paper things aren't quite right, but I guess to another human, it's like it sounds right because it is what it is, you know.
It's authentic.
Yeah.
And I think it matters the place that it's coming from. Like a vocal doesn't have to be perfect if it's coming, the intention that which you are singing with really can affect how it comes off to the listening ear. That's a real fact. I'm telling y'all, it's somewhere out there. It's a fact. Like if he was singing this with a different intention, maybe the raw, rough edges of his vocal wouldn't be so satisfying. But because it's almost like the rawness blends to the realness of the topic, right? Like the topic is so real to you and I. We've all been there, right? Most of us have been there, that like if it was sung perfectly, in perfect pitch, on perfect, you know, key, with the right facial techniques, we might not have received the message as well. But because he was in the woods on this microphone, just him, the dogs, the car, the guitar, and his raw, unedited vocals, it like struck a nerve across the world.
Like it sounds right because it is what it is, you know.
Hydrate,
it's authentic.
friends, hydrate.
Yeah, I don't think there's any right way to do anything. I mean, it's like you see it in everything.
Right.
There's a person who violates the rules and they're the best at it.
Right.
and then the rules almost morph into whatever that is. Like it's funny, like with music. Yeah, music has, country in particular, but music in general has gotten way too wrapped up in like this algorithm of how many beats per minute it needs to have and how many verses and how they need to be layered. And it's like they've almost created this sort of like industry standard, like OSHA rule book of how music needs to be performed. And so like
I say this all the time. And not about country because I'm new to country, but I feel this way about rap music, R&B music. The music I grew up listening to has changed so much. It's like a template now. Everything has to have this weird cadence, the same type of rhythm. The beats are all the same. And so, I mean, it's interesting to know that it's also happening in country, which means it's probably happening across many genres of music, that like there is this format, this syllabus that you have to follow to have a successful radio-friendly song or a mainstream success. And so when someone like Oliver comes along and his music is not following that template and it becomes an anthem, like Joe said, it's like, whoa. He's not following the rules. And it's like, well, sometimes you got to break the rules. Sometimes the reward is in the risk. I am 100% a rule breaker, and I'm married to a rule follower. And the way that he does not understand, and the way I don't understand him, it makes for a good balance. But like, I am all for like respectfully breaking the rules. And this is, I think, to me, a respectful way of breaking the rules. You come out with a hit song, like, duh.
Industry standard, like OSHA rule book of how music needs to be performed. And so, like, you can only do that so many thousands of times before people are like, okay, what else is there, you know?
Well, people like that, too. That's the thing. There's a lot of damn people. There's a lot of people. The problem, I think, with a lot of people is they want you to like what they like.
Right, and how you like it.
And if you don't like what they like, what you like sucks.
Right. That's so
it's
true.
funny like that, man. We're so tribal. We are tribal with our cell phones. You know, we're an Android or PC. You know, Android people
brands,
have to stick together. It's like we're so weird. Mm-hmm. We're so weird, but we're like that with our musical taste. We're like that.
I love that Joe is saying we, because as much as we, I, he, all of us can criticize, we're all a part of it. We all fall victim to it. We all are guilty of it, and it's so true. It's not a point your finger at y'all are weird. We are all so weird, because no matter how much you want to pretend like you don't do this, you don't do that, there is something you fall in line with. All right, there's something you're answering to, someone, something. So I just appreciate that Joe is saying we.
Weird. Mm-hmm. We're so weird, but we're like that with our musical taste. We're like that with our cultural sensitivities or cultural sensibilities, rather, like the way we feel about life and how life should be. We want everybody to kind of think along the ways that we think. It's very strange. And when a person like yourself gets labeled a right-wing, left-wing fanatic, like right out of the gate.
both in like a week and a half. Then yeah, at least I know I'm doing something right. Like to me.
Yeah, they're looking for your Biden campaign contributions now. They're going through your fucking taxes.
Can you be both? Or is he just saying like some people were claiming him over here, some people were claiming him over there, some people were placing him, some people were placing him. Is that what he's saying? I'm just like, can you be both? Doesn't that quite literally tell everyone you're neutral when you have some people claiming you're this and some people claiming you're that? It means you're kind of right down the middle and you're for everybody? No?
Your Biden campaign contributions now. They're going through your fucking taxes. The whole thing is so bonkers, man. Like, can't they just accept that you made a great song and people enjoy it?
Yeah.
Why does it have? Why do people have to attack?
Something?
Well, I think it's just for whatever reason I'm the subject matter the last couple of weeks, and in everyone's defense, I probably haven't. I've waited for this opportunity, I guess, to really have a real conversation with somebody about whatever it is I am. So people are just trying to find who's this Oliver Anthony guy.
Yeah, that's the other thing. If you don't give people the answer that they want when they want it, they're going to make up their answer. And that, of course, that's fact. They're going to make up the answer based off of a song you sang. So they don't know where he stands. So they came to their own conclusion because he didn't come right out and say it. Which I think the song is so clear that this man is just for the people. Like, everyone deserves what's best. Like, what?
Whatever it is I am. So people are just trying to find who's this Oliver Anthony guy and what is he and where does he work and who did he vote for and what's his family like and yada, because they want to sort of build this image of whatever it is that the person behind the song represents, for better or for worse.
Right.
The people who agree with it want to, I don't know. It's really funny to watch on my end because obviously I know what's true and what's not, and so like just even what I've skimmed through of people sending me like singing at the Super Bowl, like how many people have formed an opinion about whether or not I should be paid to sing at the Super Bowl. Like, I'm not singing at the Super Bowl. That's just somebody made up. But there's been hundreds of hours of people's time wasted probably talking about all these little things that don't even exist. It's just,
y'all don't get these minutes back, these hours that y'all be on the internet arguing with each other and leaving nasty comments. Y'all don't get that time back. So when you leave this earth, there is a pool of time that you've spent spewing nonsense on the internet. Are you okay with that? And if I'm saying this and it's hitting a nerve, chances are you might need to look in the mirror. If I'm saying this and you're laughing with me, it's because you realize how silly this is. It's like you know how many times I'm like, I don't get that time back. Like, I just wasted really good lifetime. Like, I think about that movie. What was that? I think it was called Time with Justin Timberlake, where like you literally had to like clock in your time on your life, and there were people like unalived on the street because they had run out of time in their lives. Like, that's really what it is. So when you're on the internet, you go to Twitter finger your life away at somebody. Think about the time you won't get back and what you could have done with that time. I don't know. This is funny to me. This is a very good just conversation, I think, between two men, whether his song went viral or not. Like, I'm enjoying this conversation.
Hundreds of hours of people's time wasted probably talking about all these little like things that don't even exist.
Like
it's just somebody made them up and put them on the internet, and so I'm just letting them ride. I think it's great.
It's wild.
I just think it's great, like that. At least the last couple of weeks, I've been able to entertain everyone and get everyone's mind off like all the other horrible stuff that's going on in the world right now. Like,
amazing.
At least everybody can have a good laugh, So,
well, I mean, it's a subject of discussion. So like everybody is getting involved, and then somehow or another it became cultural. And then there was Dwight from The Office.
Oh yeah,
he chimed in that if he was going to write a cultural anthem, what did he say? Something like he wouldn't write about overweight people on welfare. He would write about billionaires and their taxes.
Yeah.
There is nothing funnier than millionaires talking shit about billionaires. There is nothing funnier about millionaires pretending these billionaires are out of touch.
Oh yeah.
And then, take Dwight from The Office down to West Virginia.
Is that a real thing? Like, millionaires talk about how out of touch billionaires are? as if they live a life like a normal, everyday, not millionaire. You know what I mean? Like, I know there's levels to it, but is that a real thing? Are millionaires sitting around complaining about billionaires? I wouldn't know, because I'm neither. Neither. Is that synonymous? Can you say either one? Either, neither, neither? Yeah, right? Anyway, back to Joe.
Oh, yeah. And then, take Dwight from The Office down to West Virginia. Take him through those coal mining countries. Take him through those places in Appalachia where people have extreme poverty and pills have ravished those areas. Take him through there.
And it's everywhere. Yeah, the sad thing is it's everywhere now. It's not. Yeah. It's funny. People right off the get-go, I guess because it was Radio WV that posted the original video, but like I've never once advertised myself as being necessarily from the mountains. My grandfather grew up in...
I think this is really interesting because if you go watch my reaction to this song, Richmond, North of Richmond, I immediately thought that he was talking about the men and women that work in the caves in West Virginia, which I've recently been educated about. Like, I just did not even know about that, like, lifestyle, job. Like, it just was not something I learned about. And so have learned that, and then hearing the song, I stopped and I was like, so are we talking about, so I think this is interesting. I feel like, let's talk about it.
Never once advertised myself as being necessarily from the mountains. My grandfather grew up in western part of Virginia in the mountains, but I'm from Farmville, which is technically Piedmont. But even throughout rural Virginia, that poverty is a big issue and drugs are a big issue. And I mean, it's not just even in the rural areas. You go into downtown Richmond or any downtown anywhere for that matter. It's almost like, these problems exist everywhere now and I think, I mean, obviously they are because that's why the song resonated the way it did.
Right.
The problem for me was, I knew that I needed to do this. Like, I knew I needed to. I procrastinated with music a long time. I mean, I'm 31. I've been playing guitar and singing on and off since I was a kid. Like, my grandma was in a band years ago, and so I remember as a little kid, what got me interested in all of it was going, Dukes of Hazzard when I was a kid. I was like 5, and I used to sit with my grandma, and we'd sit and watch Dukes of Hazzard and watch Waylon Jennings pick that guitar. Of course, I had no idea who Waylon Jennings was, but Waylon
Jennings was on Dukes of Hazzard. I've never seen Dukes of Hazzard. I know, like, the name of the show. I can see the branding in my head. And isn't that where Daisy Dukes came from? But I've learned who Waylon Jennings is here on this channel. Was he on the show, like one of the actors? That's so interesting. I also think it's interesting that he touched on the fact that, like, he didn't, I'm paraphrasing, but he's basically saying, like, he ran from music. He procrastinated for a long time doing the music. He said he's 31, which, let's be clear, 31 is not old by any means. I think, Gen Z will tell you differently. But as someone in their mid-30s, 31 is still quite young. I vividly remember feeling at 31, like, when am I going to feel like I have my life together? But knowing that music has been in his life for all these years, and he's, I guess, finally taking it serious, and look what happens. You know what I mean? It's such a testament to anything that anyone maybe wants to do or knows they feel like they have the yearning or the calling that they should be doing, or a gift that they've been blessed with, but they're not using it properly, or I don't want to say properly, but they're not using it to its full potential. Look what can happen. I mean, I can relate. I feel like I relate to Oliver a lot. Like, I can relate to this a lot. I started my YouTube channel in January, kind of just in a place of, like, needing to feel purpose, and like I was doing something purposeful. And 9 months later, I have this YouTube channel, this platform where I'm able to, like, really speak my truth and connect with people and start conversation, and sometimes even, like, bring people other perspective and open their eyes, or, I get to talk about Jesus. Like, there's so much meaning and purpose work happening here. And I could have done this a long time ago. So, it's just like, if you feel the yearn, if you feel the call, answer to it. All right, pick up the phone, pick it up. Look,
Dukes of Hazzard, and watch Waylon Jennings pick that guitar. Of course, I had no idea who Waylon Jennings was, but that just, like, I just fell in love with that. And so grew up listening to, like, that 70s country, and she loved all the old stuff, like the 50s and 60s, and even in the 70s, even, you know, Janice and all that. And so like she really introduced me a lot into music when I was a little kid. And so like I just kind of held on to it, but never pursued it the way I should. And then I'd play at a bonfire party, or I'd play at whatever, it's a friend's house, and everybody's like, man, you got to do something with this. You don't want to waste this talent you've got and whatever. And that would almost make me feel even shittier, because I'm like, oh man, I suck. Like I'm such a piece of crap for not doing something with this. And so yeah, like when I was outside of work, it's like I'd drink, I'd get just absolutely stoned, and I would just sit around and try to think about anything but what it was that I really needed to be doing, which was like, and so it's kind of like funny, but that's ended up what kind of sparked me into like writing all these songs and doing all this stuff, because it's like I don't know, just like with you, probably with what you do, jiu-jitsu or whatever, it's like for me, songwriting it gets my head, like you said, getting your head clear, you know, because that's all.
And I think sometimes we run as human beings from that clear headspace, because then we have to answer to things like our traumas and, you know, really dig deep past the surface level things. So like, you know, when you're distracting and clouding your mind with drinking and doing the other things he said he was doing, it's like when you actually sit down and clear your head to be in the creative space, you have to tap in, and you have to be in a space of willingness to do that. Like, you really have to surrender a certain part of yourself, I think, to allow that to happen. And it's hard. It's really hard when you're battling demons and traumas and, you know, life, just life. So this is such a good conversation. Like, I don't know. I don't think I was expecting it to be funny. I don't think that, but I didn't think I was expecting it to be this deep. I mean, maybe I should have though, but I didn't.
Songwriting it gets my head, like you said, getting your head clear, you know, because that's all you can. Songwriting is interesting for different people, but now that I've been in the industry for 2 weeks, and I've talked to like.
Now that you've been in the industry, you conquered it.
Now that I'm an industry expert, it's like some of the other musicians I've talked to, like the people I've looked up to over the years, they experience this too. But certain people, when you songwrite, it's a very, it's dramatic. Like,
do you write all your own songs?
Yeah, but it's.
Have you been accused of not writing your own songs?
Very early on, yeah, because since I guess it's not even my stage name. It's Oliver Anthony Music, and so it's supposed to represent music from, you know, Oliver Anthony Music is my grandfather, and so he grew up in the 30s in the mountains and used to tell all these wild stories about how life was back then.
Wait, is he saying Oliver Anthony is not his real name?
And so it's supposed to represent music.
Hold on, I want to go back and catch this.
Now that I'm an industry expert, it's like some of the other musicians I've talked to, like the people I've looked up to over the years, they experience this too. But certain people, when you songwrite, it's a very, it's dramatic. Like,
do you write all your own songs?
Yeah. But it's.
Have you been accused of not writing your own songs?
Very early on, yeah, because since I guess it's not even my stage name. It's Oliver Anthony Music, and so it's supposed to represent music from, you know, Oliver Anthony Music is my grandfather, and so he grew up in the 30s in the mountains and used to tell all these wild stories about how life was back then. But the music's just sort of a characterization of like that period in time.
Is he telling us that his stage name is Oliver Anthony? Like his grandfather's name was Oliver Anthony, so he goes by that? Or is he like the third? Am I the only one that's confused by that? I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to understand. I just want to be clear.
I mean, those people, you know, and that's so yeah. When
so your real name is not Oliver.
Christopher Anthony Lunsford is my real legal name, and so that's
Thank
what's
you,
on
Joe
like
Rogan,
like if you look up the
Why
songwriting.
did you decide to sing as Oliver Anthony? Just in
well, like I said, I have it. I just had the YouTube channel listed as Oliver Anthony Music, just because like that's sort of the demeanor or the, like I said, the character I was like that older Virginia style music.
I get
like
that.
if you go on YouTube and you look up that type of music from back then, like those old recordings of people, like that's what I just love, that type of stuff.
Do you think you're going to keep that name?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people still call me Chris, and I've posted on social media, call me whatever. I mean, I've been called a lot worse than either of those things, but yeah, it'll stay Oliver Anthony Music, and definitely, yeah. It's a special name, and it's a special name to me, not only because it was my grandfather's name, but it's sort of like, to me, it reminds me of how different things were back then. But he was born Oliver Anthony, but everybody called him Anthony growing up, and so like
Anthony.
He always thought his name was
cute.
Anthony Oliver, and last name Engel, and so like it wasn't until he was in his 60s and going to retire, he realized that his name didn't match his birth certificate, so he had to actually change his legal name when he was in his 60s. But it's
I would say, how is that possible? But this actually happened to my mom. My mom didn't know her name, like her first and middle names were spelled completely different than she's been spelling them her whole life until she got married, her second marriage. And she had to like go through all this stuff to like change it. And I'm just like, you think, how is that possible? Like, I have my birth certificate. I know what's going on here, but I don't know. I just think that's interesting. And I'm sure even back then it was even more easy not to know like something like that with records and things like that,
Because
he thought his name was Anthony Oliver?
Yeah, and so
his whole life?
But his legal name was, and so it's, and his parents named him, so it's just like, but all the paperwork back then was so scattered up because
Right.
a lot of people were illiterate, and of course documents weren't tracked as well as they are now, and so it's like, there's people in the family that have a different spelling and it's the same last name, but a few letters are different and stuff. But it's just kind of cool.
Wow.
But he just thought that was crazy. He had to change his name when he was 65 so he could draw his retirement and all, because his Social Security and everything was under a totally different name. But
that's crazy.
So it's just special to me. He's like the only other one in the family like me. Most of our family's like average height, 6 feet and under, but he and I were both, 6'6", redheaded, left-handed.
He's 6'6"?
Like
I love it. He's like, most people in my family are average height, 6 feet. That's like how my family is. I live in a land of giants, and everyone thinks I'm tall. I am 5'7" and maybe a half, but like all the women, all the men in my family are giants, like over 6 feet tall. All the men and all the women. So to me, it's very normal. Like dating in high school and stuff, like I'd bring home a boyfriend and they'd be like, your mom is so tall. I'm like, really? Because to me, my grandmother, like everyone is tall like that. And so I get this. I relate to Oliver. Chris.
6 feet and under, but he and I were both, 6'6", redheaded, left-handed. Like I don't know. In a lot of ways, I thought it was special to kind of respect him. He passed away in 2019, and that's kind of when I guess that's when I first kind of adapted the name for the music. I didn't really get serious with anything until probably
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, until a couple weeks ago. I think I uploaded the first original. Like when I decided I was in it to win it, and I really wanted to make this thing happen. It was probably May of last year when I uploaded Ain't Got a Dollar, or it might have been Rich Man's Goal was the first one I uploaded on YouTube. But that's when I decided, like, all right, I'm doing this thing. But yeah,
so you were just smoking too much weed, drinking too much, and just procrastinating.
Yeah. And so like anxiety is definitely something that's underestimated. I used to but I used to just not really understand when people talked about mental health and anxiety, because everyone gets stressed out over stuff, and so you think of anxiety as being just like this normal phenomenon everyone deals with, but your mind can really put you in a dark place to where that thing it just holds on to you like a and it just
I always say I really struggled with anxiety until I really got serious about my relationship with God. That's my own personal anecdote, is prayer and like devotional time with God. But I always say, like, anxiety is debilitating. It could literally shut you down like a freaking like on and off switch. And, I think a lot of people feel like the word is overused and, people just throw the word anxiety. But if you've really suffered with anxiety, then you know how real it is and like completely just debilitating it can be. Like, I wouldn't eat for days, like the anxiety, like certain people would call me and it would give me anxieties. I'm like, what do they want? What do they need? Like, it's real.
It just holds on to you like a, and it just makes it very difficult for you to do anything. And so, I spent at least 2 years of my life almost constantly just having what felt like just a knot right here, just wrenching it.
I had a friend in college call it the pang. And so I've always referred to it as the pang, but it's like a physical thing you can feel. It's a weight on your chest, in your chest, like a knot, like you can't swallow. Me and this man need to like
these 2 years of my life almost constantly just having what felt like just a knot right here, just wrenching at me.
Well, that's especially true for people that are pursuing a non-traditional life, that doesn't have any guarantees. It's a wild life to try to be an entertainer, like to just to choose to try to make it in this wild world of people that are
putting your
singing
stuff out there,
and making songs, and you want people to pay attention to you.
Yeah.
Like, do you know how many fucking people are singing? How many people can sing? How many people are recording things? And now with YouTube and the like, how many people are putting stuff up on the internet for other people to enjoy? It's a lot.
Well,
the idea that you're going to stand out. So that you're filled with anxiety just because of that, because this future's uncertain.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of the anxiety came from me just feeling like I was running out of time.
I almost hate that ended right there. This was a really good interview on both ends. Running out of time is another big, I think, contributor to anxiety, especially when the world tells you at 30 you're supposed to be married with children and super successful and have your own several properties and have a boat and travel the world. It's like, what? So what? I don't. Y'all busy wasting your time on the internet. You got to figure it out. This was a stupendous interview. I really enjoyed it. And let's talk about it in the comments. Be kind, be gentle. Don't waste your time on silly, petty nonsense. It's not worth it. And go and have the day you deserve. Peace.